How's it going, everybody? This is your Astrology Horoscope for Friday, March 22nd, 2024. I'm astrologer Alex Skyles, and welcome to the Moonbase. Hope you guys are doing amazing. It's been a wild week. Today is very interesting because we got the moon coming into Virgo, and then we have Mars leaving Aquarius and ingressing into Pisces. So we'll see the moon come into 0 degrees Virgo, and then we'll see Mars come into 0 degrees Pisces, and then we have Venus in Pisces coming off of its conjunction with Saturn. And now I think, moving out of all of these Aquarius transits and finally getting past Pluto and understanding what Aquarius really means with Pluto here in this area. I think there's a lot of lessons to be remembered from that. But now, with Jupiter finally starting to come out of shadow, it's just a few minutes away. Our lives are expanding in very unique ways right now. And things are the vibe is really starting to shift. Mercury is slowing down. I definitely felt it yesterday, big time. And there's just many things that kept popping up with electronics, really. And I don't really feel Mercury retrograde that much, but personally, I try not to make this personal, but my Mercury's 29 Aries, right? Mercury's going to be going 27, is going to be retrograding at 27 degrees. And it's been in shadow since about 15 degrees. It'll go retrograde, or it'll go direct at 15. So, when you have Mercury retrograding in your sign or in your sun sign or any of your natal planets, especially if Mercury's retrograding where your Mercury's at, you're going to feel it big time. So I definitely have been feeling Mercury starting to slow down here. But the irony is Jupiter is starting to come online for good here. Jupiter came direct on New Year's Day, but now it's taken almost 3.5 months, almost 4 months to come out of shadow and come at full speed here. So, we're starting to feel, much more optimistic and a lot of expansion showing up in our lives. And with Venus and Saturn here, Venus is finally off of its conjunction to Saturn. It's been building up for, a few weeks. About a week and a half. We're feeling very committed to any creative projects or financial, commitments we need to make, or financial changes in our lives we need to make, and how we use our finances, and especially in our love life and in our partnerships and our romantic partnerships and our spiritual connections. And definitely when it comes to partnerships where they feel destined and divine and fated, we're willing to really take on some commitments right now. And this is very long term. This is a very long-term commitment that we're making in this moon in Virgo. It won't fully oppose Venus and Saturn today. It will early in the morning coming into Saturday morning, but still, we're seeing the moon in Virgo starting to oppose this area. So this is going to give us some objectivity to, these commitments that we're willing to make in our romantic life, in our creative life, and partnerships that we really want to see develop in a very, solid, concrete way, and in a very long-term way. Financial commitments, creative commitments, romantic love commitments, spiritual commitments. This moon in Virgo starting to oppose this area is going to give us this objectivity and a critical objective perspective. Virgo is very critical. So, we want to be able to look at things, look at these commitments and look at these partnerships and look at these creative endeavors and financial endeavors that we want to, really sustain here for a long term, a long period of time. We want to look at these things, from a very critical angle today and think about what they really mean in a realistic way. And how can we make them more realistic and practical? Because that's the thing about Venus and Pisces. It's all about the fantasy, right? And that's great. And that's kind of what has lured us on into these areas, and new people coming into our lives, and new manifestations of creative partnerships and romantic partnerships. Venus is about to sextile Jupiter and Taurus. So, Venus in its exaltation, and then Jupiter in Venus's ruling sign, with Venus about to sextile Jupiter, like this is when we're going to see these things really manifest and expand in a big way, because Venus will sextile Jupiter right when Jupiter comes out of shadow. This is, I think, very serendipitous. A lot of synchronicities are definitely going to play out in our lives. And we're going to see things expand rapidly over the next week. And Mars at the last degree of Aquarius. So we're finally getting out of all of these Aquarius transits that we've been experiencing since the end of January. It's been really intense. It's been like we're just holding on for dear life and having to constantly make changes and make shifts in our lives, and just kind of go with, the flow, and go with the energy, and, learn how to not hold on to things, and fixate too much and try to control things too much. Mars in Aquarius, it definitely wants to control the outcome of things. And I definitely think with these Aquarius Pluto transits, and Venus and Mars and Mercury and the Sun all crossing Pluto at the same chunk of time, we've just gone through a massive transformation, in every area of our personal life, not necessarily in the outer realms of our life, but in a very personal way. We've gone through very radical transformations over the past 2 months. And so we can finally start to understand what that is and what we've been going through. And definitely with Mars coming into Pisces today, like the whole energy that is going to shift big time. So we got Mars at 0 degrees of Pisces, and Mars gets a bad rap in Pisces, right? And we're going to have Mars-Saturn conjunction on developing here. So, what kind of spiritual activities can we, take on here that can really help us, tap into that subconscious place? When I think of Mars and Pisces, I think of going on, some kind of retreat, or going on a cruise, or, dancing, or, anything of that kind of nature, where our physical nature is connected to our artistic and creative expression, and our spiritual expression, and our spirituality, the yoga, meditation, all these things. It's like, our physical nature is going to start to go inward, and we want to embrace how the physicality of things is starting to go into a different direction here, because Mars in Aquarius is just very on top of things, and almost kind of hard to deal with if you're not used to that kind of energy, or you don't have a lot of Aquarian or Uranian energy in your chart. Mars in Aquarius can be very intense and very tough, and it can be very challenging. Now it's like, okay, we can kind of go inward a bit and seek the divine in a physical way. And that's always how I see Pisces, But at the same time, things can get messy in Pisces. Things can get sloppy. You don't just want to be leaving messes all around where they could pile up and, get you in trouble. I think we have to be very careful with our health, especially with Mars starting to come towards Saturn. We can definitely get a lot done in this transit, because I think Mars and Saturn are going to be helping each other, because Saturn's not great in Pisces. Mars is not great in Pisces. Pisces energy and malefic planets do not do well. It's just, but it's pretty great with this transit, because Mars in Pisces and Saturn in Pisces are going to be able to help each other, not fall into the Piscean, Neptunian trap that is really easy to fall into, especially with Neptune here. So I think, like going inward and doing physical things that can really help you tap into that spiritual and artistic place, but also keeping in mind, it's like, you don't just want to go out partying and get too lost in drugs and alcohol, and Mars and Pisces you got to be very careful with that. This is that kind of drunk driver energy, right? You don't want to be making mistakes in that regard, especially with Mars and Saturn coming on together. So with this moon in Virgo, it's like it's reminding us that we once again now have 4 planets in Pisces. We gotta be realistic. We gotta keep things practical. We still gotta do the work. We can't just fall into fantasy and fall into just the idea of things. We really have to do the work, and we really have to always remember that Virgo and Pisces is all about service. With Mars now coming into Pisces, it's like, how can we, do things for other people? Physical things. How can we help? Somebody mow their fucking grass, like practical things with this moon in Virgo kind of opposing this area for the next few days. It's like, how can we practically help other people and serve other people that can really help us as individuals tap into a more spiritual place and, just give back. I think with all these Pisces planets as well, it's like, man, we could feel a little sleepy. Mars and Pisces can be a little sleepy. It's like with Mars and Pisces, sleep can become like a physical activity. Dreams can become like a physical experience, especially with Mars on its way to Saturn, and then we'll reach Neptune. And then, we have Venus in Pisces on its way to Neptune as well. So, and that's only a few weeks till we have that transit. Or that conjunction happen. So we just want to be realistic through this Mars-Pisces transit, and that's what's happening with this moon in Virgo opposing this area. It's like, we can really have some magical experiences. If you are traveling, definitely be careful, especially with Mars and Saturn. Things can get very magical and very beautiful, but you got to also stay grounded and stay as physical and realistic as possible. But also, trust the energy, trust the divine energy that's going to carry you to the places that you will always, manifest in a very synchronistic way. Like when we're having Pisces transits like this, especially with 4 planets in Pisces, it's like the sensitivity and the synchronicity are at an all-time high, And it can get overwhelming if you're not allowing that and having faith in that. Pisces is all about faith and allowing the divine to take over here, But also it's like discerning, like what is real, what is delusion, what is practical, and, what reality do I want to create, This is very subconscious energy. It's like when Mars's physical and intense and aggressive nature becomes subconscious, our subconscious and our physical selves become very aligned and in sync. So it's like, however we're expressing ourselves physically is how we are tapping into our subconscious, and vice versa. It's like how our subconscious is being programmed and being activated is also expressing itself physically, in very subconscious and unconscious ways as well. So this moon in Virgo, it's good that it with Mars ingressing into Pisces with the moon in Virgo here, right after Venus-Saturn conjunction in Pisces, it's giving us a little bit of a reality check, and we kind of need that. The sun is now 2 degrees of Aries. We're in Aries season. Mercury's slowing down here, and Jupiter is about to come out of shadow. So, I think the expansion in our lives and the manifestation is really starting to be very powerful. And we want to start acting upon that and a very because with Mars in Aquarius, it's so mental and it wants to control things, and especially with Pluto behind Saturn, both in the same signs. It's like now the spiritual divine nature is really kicking on here, in that manifestation, in that like I knew it kind of energy, and that validation of really putting in the effort, seeing the vision, not being sure, but just trusting that I feel like this is the right thing to do. Like this is when those things are going to start to really show up. Hands down. If you have 12th house placements, strong Neptune placements, strong Pisces placements, this energy very well, and, if you have very strong Jupiter, what this expansion really means. And also, our beliefs are changing, very rapidly. Jupiter is on its way to Uranus, so our beliefs and our ideas about the world, our philosophies about the world, our spirituality, and our understanding of the natural ways of things are really changing, especially with a lot of how technology is changing and AI is changing our reality with this Jupiter-Uranus. It's like that is starting to shift of like, it's starting to expand in ways. And, we have to accept that. Like, we're moving into a whole new world here. It doesn't mean that it like AI is going to take over, or robots are going to take over with Pluto and Aquarius. It just means that there are new manifestations in our reality that can be beneficial to our lives, I mean, if you're using AI to your advantage to help you live a more practical life, and not relying on things, we don't want to be just relying on things and thinking that this is the answer, especially with all these Pisces placements. We can tend to fall into that trap. Is that, I got this one thing, and this one thing is just going to change everything. It's not necessarily that, but also it's just accepting that there are new ways of doing things and new technologies and new ways to help humanity and help our personal lives be better and more expansive, and accepting that. And, it can be hard, for the older generations, but, I think also the younger generations also are learning that, like, wow, like, we don't know a world without this stuff. So what is that like? It's asking those questions. Jupiter is all about asking the questions, the deeper questions, the deeper meanings. So with Jupiter coming out of its shadow here in just a few moments, by tomorrow, don't be afraid to ask, the raw questions, about the world and about nature and about, our divine purpose. That's what Jupiter in the ninth house of Sag is all about. So it's asking the right questions, and also, like tapping into that subconscious place with Mars now coming into Pisces. I think this is... I like Mars in Pisces. You just got to really be careful. Keep things in check. And don't let things pile up with Mars and Pisces. Because, when we're talking about Pisces and Neptune in Pisces, and especially Saturn in Pisces, our immune systems are much more vulnerable. So when we're talking about Virgo and the Pisces axis, like our immune systems are, they rule the immune system. So doing things that can really replenish you, not eating bad foods with this Mars and Pisces transit, and just wanting to escape through any sort of, escape mechanism. Some people escape through food, some people escape through drinking, some drugs, and it's not just about moderation. It's about making healthy choices with Mars and Pisces, because it's very easy to say, I'll do that tomorrow, and this moon in Virgo, as Mars is ingressing into Pisces, is saying, no, like, you should really think about that one first, or check that off the list first, or, before you go out and meditate or go on some trip to some other country. Maybe you should, clean house first, or pay these bills first, or, go tend to the garden first, and then, go do some Pisces things. So this moon in Virgo is really starting to give us a reality check in a very, in a positive way, Got the Three of Pentacles here. So, with Jupiter coming online within the next 24 hours, it's like we're going to see the results of our efforts and our hard work start to show up over the next week. And, we've kind of, that's kind of how I always feel. When Jupiter goes retrograde, it's the hardest retrograde, in my opinion, next to Mars. Mars retrogrades are always tough for me. I'm an Aries. But when Jupiter goes retrograde, it's always like we always forget what that expansive energy feels like. And when Jupiter does come online, it's like things just start to show up, and it's not just magic, right? Like it's the things that we do during a Jupiter retrograde that start to show up when Jupiter starts to come out of shadow here. Yeah, it's been direct for 3 months. But now this is the moment where it's really going to start to move at full speed straight towards Uranus. So things are going to really start to show up in our lives, and a whole new expansion in our lives is showing up. And with Venus in its exaltation and Jupiter in Venus's ruling sign, there's a lot of Jupiter-Venus energy going on here. And we haven't seen this in a minute. And when it comes to the commitments that we've made to ourselves, maybe to new partnerships or new creative projects or financial commitments or, just even little things, when it comes to making even just commitment, like I'm going to eat better. I'm going to not spend so much money. This Venus-Saturn conjunction, it's like, when we really follow through with our commitments and we're putting in the effort, like other people will notice, and, other people will support you. And the divine, especially with Pisces. I mean, we're talking about, it's not just other people, it's the divine, that will support you. And yeah, over the next few weeks, we're going to start to see those things show up. And today we may see, some things start to show up too. I mean, who knows? I mean, Venus is coming out of shadow, within 24 hours. So, expect some really awesome things to start to show up. I'm just be curious where Jupiter is in your chart. Take a peek at that, and that's where you'll start to see those areas. Like if you have Jupiter in the 6th house, maybe some work-related stuff might really manifest in a positive way, and it might be some things over the past 6 months that you've been waiting on or whatever. Maybe if you have Jupiter in the 7th house, maybe some relationship that, you've been waiting to really see if it was going to work out. Maybe there could be a positive manifestation there. It also depends on where it's aspecting. Maybe if you have Jupiter in the 8th house, maybe you get pregnant, That's the thing. If you're having a Jupiter 8th house transit and you're trying to have children, that's probably one of the easiest times to do so. So, you never know. So, if you have Jupiter in the 2nd, maybe some new resources can start expanding in your life. And I think, too, what's really exciting about this, especially with the Three of Pentacles coming up today, it's like Jupiter's coming out of shadow with Venus coming off of its conjunction with Saturn, and then will sextile over to Jupiter right when it's all happening. So, it'd be one thing if Jupiter was still out of shadow a few degrees away and then Venus sextiles, Jupiter, it'd be a different story. But that's the story that's playing out here. And I think we can see some instant positive shifts in our life that we've been waiting for and we haven't seen in a while. So that's really amazing. Yeah, with Mars ingressing into Pisces today, it's like integrating our spirituality and our divinity in a physical way, So, I hope you guys have a lovely Friday. If you're new here, subscribe to my channel. Find me on Instagram. Find these horoscopes on Spotify. All the links to my social media platforms are in the description of this video. If you want to book a reading with me, the link is also in the description of this video to my booking website. I'm going to be putting up a reading sale probably next week for this Jupiter, Uranus, Sun, Jupiter, because that's what's happening, over the next few months. So on April 21st, we're going to see Sun, Jupiter, or Jupiter, Uranus conjunction. And then right after that, we're going to see, about a month later, May 17th, May 18th, we're going to see Sun, Jupiter. So it's not just these one singular moments. It's a conversation that's playing out over these next few months that's really going to change and expand our lives in very positive ways and very unexpected ways with Uranus here. So I definitely think that's an important thing to look at in where you want to grow and where you want to make big changes in your life and what amazing things are going to start to show up in your life. At the beginning of 2024 with all planets direct, it's been very positive, but very grueling and a lot of hard work. They had a lot of Capricorn transits, a lot of Aquarius transits with Pluto. Now, finally, with Mars coming into Pisces, that whole vibe is going to shift. So I think it's very important to really look at what the next few months are going to be with Jupiter and Uranus and the Sun, Jupiter. We'll have Venus and Taurus as well with Jupiter and Uranus. Like April and May are going to be pretty wild, pretty exciting, very exciting. So yeah, I'm going to put that up next week, all of April's books. So I'll probably leave the booking up for May and June for that. Because in June, at the end of May, Jupiter's going right into Gemini. And the thing is, we have to take this into account too, because this is the most important thing about Jupiter and Gemini. We're not going to get a Sun-Jupiter conjunction in Gemini. When we go into 2025, the Sun and Jupiter are going to conjunct in Cancer. So this Jupiter, Uranus, and Taurus, and the Sun, Jupiter after this Uranus and Taurus, or after this Jupiter and Taurus with Uranus conjunction that's following up. And then we'll have the Sun-Uranus conjunction right in the middle of that too. So it's like we're not going to get this for a whole year or a little more until it gets to Cancer. So, Jupiter, Gemini, it's going to be kind of lonely. And maybe it's more of like, because Jupiter is a 12-year cycle. So Jupiter won't be back in Gemini for another 12 years. And then we'll get a Sun, Jupiter, and Gemini conjunction. So this is the last moment where we're going to get some very positive breakthroughs and very positive manifestations with Jupiter and the Sun and Venus and Uranus that we'll see for more than a year. So the Sun is gonna basically skip Jupiter for a whole year. So this is the last moment. So anyway, hope you guys have a good Friday. I will see you for the weekend. Peace out.